This is going to be the very first episode of Elara Diaries. I want to introduce our girl Shelby. So, the whole purpose of this podcast and Elara Diaries is to dive into what goes beyond the scale and the real stories behind women's wellness journeys. Shelby is here to show up with honesty, vulnerability, and insight into her own personal experience to hopefully resonate with some of you guys that are on your journey or debating starting your. So, whichever one of those categories you are grouped into, this conversation is going to be full of real moments, mindset shifts, and reminders that you are not alone. With that, I want to introduce Shelby.
Hi, I'm Shelby. Thanks for having me on. I have lost almost 140 pounds since April 2024 with the help of a GLP. I am a mom to three kids. I'm a full-time teacher. I live a very busy life, and I don't think I could have done it without this tool. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Shelby, I wanted to ask you kind of my first introductory question here. What led you to start exploring GLP-1s in the first place?
Well, my friend was talking about it. That is what made me want to dig a little deeper into it. I heard about it through the grapevine from the celebrity news about Ozempic, and that's all I really knew about it at that time. And I knew I would never be able to get it, so I just kind of put it in the back of my mind. And I also watched some YouTube videos from people who had bad experiences because I didn't want it. I was looking for reasons to not want it because I knew I couldn't get it. But then when my friend started exploring on how to get access, then I kind of was like, okay, like it kind of gave me permission to look into a little bit more.
When you finally looked into further GLP-1s and you learned that there was options that your insurance didn't have to cover or something that you could afford because you felt like you kind of gained permission through your friend diving deeper, is that when you made the decision to officially start your journey, just feeling like you had that permission from somebody?
Yeah, I felt a little bit more excitement, a little bit more hesitation, but still cautiously optimistic
Do you
because
think some of that hesitation from starting was because you felt like investing in yourself like that was selfish? Like you could have been, I don't know, investing towards something else?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, but then when I look at, the cost of it, how many times have I signed up for a gym membership and never went? And that was my fat tax and nothing came out of it. And there is just a time where you finally decide that you're worth it. And I'm so glad that I took that step. My journey with the medication, I did not know compound was an option until my doctor actually suggested I do the compound because I initially got an insurance denial from her prescription that she wrote me for Wegovy. My insurance was like, no, we want you to stay fat, so we're not giving that to you. And she's like, you can try the compound. I've written scripts for compound for my patients before, and I was just like, I don't even know what that is. Like, I ended up getting approval for my insurance for Monjaro because I ended up having my blood work done and it revealed that I was pre-diabetic.
Mm.
And I had to dig and dig and spent about a good month to find out that they did cover it. My doctor wouldn't tell me they covered it. My insurance, they wouldn't tell me that they would cover. And I spent countless hours on the phone with them. If I had known about compound prior to all of that, I would have just started on the compound initially because it
Yeah.
took a good almost 5 months for me to finally get started after I initially decided to do it and then finally getting it. It was like a good 5 months, and I feel like a lot of time was wasted, kind of waiting around doing research and finally getting it. So that was definitely one thing I would change is just getting started with a telehealth company to see if I could get approval and doctor support from them.
Immediately instead of having to suffer for however many months after you already decided that you are ready to move forward.
And then, I remember during that interim time of decided I want to do this, I want to investigate to try to get coverage. And then that time of getting it, there was so much doubt. I didn't know if it was going to work for me. And it was kind of this back and forth of it wouldn't work for you anyway. Nothing's ever worked for you. So why you even try? It was this battle within myself to keep pushing forward to even try to get it. And I was just when I learned about telehealth companies, I was very surprised at how easy it is to get that access and how unfair the American healthcare system is in
I
general.
know.
It
I
really
know
is.
when there finally is a solution that is helpful, it almost seems like it's fake, like one of those too
Hmm.
good to be true scenarios, because we're not used to seeing it or having access to it. So when it's like you can do it as simple as one, two, three, really, it's like, okay, what's the catch though? And the sad part is, I mean, the good part is there is no catch, but the sad part is we're trained to think that there is because of how typical women's healthcare has treated us for an eternity.
Absolutely. And insurance is a whole other thing to navigate.
Yeah, yeah, something that a lot of people don't even have access to.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'll take that and kind of go into I want to know what your relationship was like with your body before versus after you started the medication, not even just your body, but with food too. How do you view yourself now versus how you did before you started putting yourself first and embarked on this?
My relationship with my body has not been linear because I have had children. I've gained weight, I've lost weight, I've gained it. I have never been the traditional like skinny girl. I think the last time that I was considered thin, I was a freshman in high school. So still a kid, basically.
Yeah.
And when I got on birth control at 15, I gained a lot of weight for going from 125-pound 14-year-old to 170-pound 15-year-old was a big change for my adolescent brain. And that's when I really started to have more of a negative relationship with my body. I don't feel like I let it stand in my way of living my life, but it was always in the back of my mind. Anytime I would see somebody who had the body that I thought I wanted, I would get really down on myself and yearn for that. And I would try and I would do all the things that we've done as women, restricting, killing yourself at the gym, buying products to hopes that it would be the magic solution. And nothing really ever worked. And then I started having kids, and things really changed after that. I had my first kid when I was 22, so I was pretty young. And at that time, I loved being pregnant. I think pregnancy is beautiful, wonderful. I have never felt more beautiful than when I'm pregnant. And even though I was overweight in my pregnancy and thereafter, but during the pregnancy part, I felt like my body had a purpose. And even afterward, I nursed my kids, and there was that desire of like, oh my gosh, I got to get back down to my pre-pregnancy weight, which was still overweight, but seeing the numbers play out on the scale all those years had really done a number on me. And about 6 months into my post birth, my son was 6 months old. I'm finally like, okay, I'm gonna do something about this. And I went to the gym. I restricted like crazy, counted everything I ate, spent hours at the gym throughout the week, every day if I could. And I did lose. I lost about 40 pounds in like 6 months, which I was really excited about. And then I gained it all back. I gained it all back plus some because I stopped doing the routine. I stopped doing all the things. And then I got pregnant again. So I started my second pregnancy out heavier than I did when I gave birth to my first kid. So it was just like compounding on top of the weight. And although I didn't gain as much weight with my second pregnancy and my third pregnancy, it was the same story of, okay, give birth, kind of just get into use that routine for 6 months and then go to the gym and restrict and be miserable because it was not fun. Like I was never one of those people that would feel invigorated and feel like empowered by working out because there was always a reason to it. And it was like competing with myself. Like if I don't see that scale move, it's because I'm not working out hard enough. So I always had that relationship with the gym in a kind of a negative way. It wasn't about my health. It was more about like getting to this goal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was able to do it the second time with my second kid. And then I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in the middle of my like weight loss health journey. And that all stopped. Like I stopped focusing on making time for the gym and counting my calories and all of those things because now my new focus was what does this diagnosis mean for me? How is it going to impact my life? And I put weight back on again. And then had my third kid. Same story. I had him in 2020. He's my pandemic baby. So on top of like the pandemic weight gain that everybody had, I also grew a baby and gave birth to him during the middle of the pandemic. And then I, again, 6 months into it, I'm like, okay, we're going to do this again. I did it before. It's going to be a breeze. But the difference is I am now 30 years old and I didn't take account to how that would make it harder to lose because I was doing all the things I did before, exercise, restriction, and it just was not paying off. I'm like, the amount of stress and angry feelings I had about not being allowed to have something.
And having 3 kids to take care of.
Yes, and their meals, and I was working too remotely, and my husband was working remotely, and it was very obvious to me that it wasn't going to be sustainable for me because of all the extra factors going on, and I wasn't seeing the results like I was the prior two times when I was like, okay, it's kind of worth it because I'm seeing results, and I lost the motivation very quickly after my third attempt. And so at that point, I just kind of threw my hands up, and my relationship with my body was that of acceptance. I really worked hard to convince myself that I was okay in my body, and I still hold on to those values that your worth isn't wrapped up in your thinness. I think
Mhm.
that that's a very important message to hold on to, especially since I have kids and one being my daughter, to not put all of your worth in what you look like. There's so much more to people than what they see, but it's become this mental game for me of almost betrayal because I have been successful with the medication and I like my body now. I like the way it looks. I like going shopping now. I like trying on clothes. I don't hate myself in pictures anymore. And it feels like I betrayed my old self because I spent a lot of time learning to love that body and not putting that desire of being thin in the forefront of my mind. Like it was always in the back of like, I would love to look like that, but why do I need to do that?
Mhm.
When I got the diabetes diagnosis, like the blood work came back, it became a lot more about health at that point. And I try to remind myself of that. Like, it's not just about being thin, there's a whole other list of reasons to be on this path. And I'm still on this path because I need to work on my relationship with exercise because earlier I had said that I had always connected exercise to punishment almost
Mhm.
to move your body. And now that I can move my body more easily, I want to explore what that looks like. I want to explore what exercises I like to do now that I can move my body more freely. So I'm still on this journey to like love myself, but being kind to my mind too, and loving my past self and trying to navigate that, like, that guilt almost of like, I left that behind. I worked so hard to do that. And now I'm over here on this side. And I would like to spend more time in the present a little bit more and looking forward to continuing this journey of strength and being happy. And if even if the scale, not tying my success to a number on the scale ultimately is,
I think that's so important that you mentioned that too, because our worth is not tied to a scale at all.
yeah. And,
Like you
I,
said, it's never ending. Like it's a constant journey
yes,
because you're
it
still
really is.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever. I'm a big believer, the teacher in me, of continuous learning. Like I'm always going to be learning about health because I'm not a health guru just because I got skinny. Like I don't know all the things. There's still so much for me to learn and to break these learned behaviors that I've had for so
Mhm.
long, or these perceptions about things like working out and eating healthy. Like those were always tied to suffering for me,
Mhm.
and I want to be able to grow out of that. And I know that the being thin is not going to make someone instantly happy. It's not going to solve all your problems. But I do think it's important to acknowledge the social currency that comes with being thin.
Mhm.
And that's not at fault from me or you or anybody. That's just society as a whole. It exists. And as much as we want to dismantle that and not have our worth wrapped up in that, it is reality that there people who are thin are typically treated better automatically. What's on the outside is what's deemed worthy of how they treat you.
Mhm.
And I hate that. I hate that that's the way it is. But I think it's important to acknowledge that it does come with the societal benefits of what society deems as worthy of getting being nice to or getting praised for or whatever.
Yeah. And with you saying that too, it kind of brings me into another question that I did have, and that's what did you personally notice between like either your relationships or coworkers or family, friends before you embarked on this journey and after? Did you notice support? Did you notice almost like resentment or jealousy because you did take a step to improve yourself and they were maybe still in that phase where they hadn't yet? And how did you navigate that?
All of it. I've experienced the gamut of reactions, and something that is surprising with people is no one ever, when I was over 250 pounds, no one stopped me and said, "Hey, like I'm concerned about your health." But when I got to be 120 pounds, it was, "Hey, I'm concerned about your health." And that was really frustrating to me because I almost feel like me being as heavy as I was, I didn't think it was that bad. Obviously, looking back now, there was a lot of inflammation happening in my face. I looked ill. My body was obviously needing some change. Like it just wasn't good to have all that extra weight on me from a health perspective. I didn't look good,
Hmm.
not in like a vanity way, but it looked like something was happening. And when I got thin, it's like all of a sudden, like I finally feel good about myself. And now you're telling me you're concerned about my weight when I'm in a healthy BMI. My doctor is good with where I'm at. So that was surprising to get comments about concern when I was thin, but never concerns about when I was larger. Relationship wise, losing this weight, I feel like really kind of disrupted our marriage in a way because now, like I said earlier, because now it is, I fit society standards and I'm going to be getting more attention from
Hmm.
people. How that dynamic is something we've had to navigate through, you know, feel a lot of feelings that we didn't expect to have. And then you feel guilty about having those feelings. And
Hmm.
round we go because, you know, like I said, he's loved me at every size, but he also is aware of society standards. And it's like, wow, like now my wife fits into this like standard of beauty and it's going to cause a lot of attention probably, like how is he going to handle that? And
Hmm.
so that's been an interesting part. And we I think it's important to be honest with your partner about those changes too, because I had a really big change. Like and talking to my kids about that too. You know, my kids struggle with their body image, and then my two oldest are 12 and almost 10. So getting ready to go through a bunch of changes too, and their friends at school, and then them seeing me change so much, and them seeing their bodies and comparing it to me, and it's all that. Those are things that are not talked about a lot, but it is
Hmm.
difficult to navigate. Like, how do you talk to your kids about being healthy without shaming them and causing damage to their inner voice and making them feel like they're less than because they don't look like this, and like it's so hard to find that happy medium. And I feel like as parents, like if anyone's listening as a parent right now, probably understand the feeling of like never getting it right. You always feel like you're missing something or you should have said something better, or you just wish there was a handbook to this stuff because
Right? I
it
know. It's good if, again, if anyone is watching this, just know that you're not alone in this, and it's something that there's not gonna be, like you said, a handbook for or a direct answer to,
right.
because they're just
And I
simply,
I would love to talk more about that aspect on my channel, but it's so hard to even put it into words. It's so difficult to take all those feelings about talking to your kids about health and weight and not making it about one thing more than the other.
about
Like it's
making it define their worth because it does.
yes. Yeah, but I want you to be healthy. And I've been having these conversations with them since they were toddlers, and it just seems a little bit more harder now because I've lost a bunch of weight. And it's like, how
Hmm.
can I tell them it's not about being thin? It's like, well, why did you get skinny, mommy? Like, why did you want to be skinny? It's like, okay, these are really deep questions that, you know,
Yeah.
I want to be sensitive to with their growing brains and their own personal relationship with themselves too. So
Yeah, it's
that
a really hard conversation to navigate. I feel like, and I feel like at the end of the day, the best answer just kind of weighs out to be something that's like the number on the scale is not what defines you, first of all. And there's many different numbers on that scale that can all be healthy numbers that will
yep,
look different on everybody. What matters is your health and your personal confidence. Like,
Hmm.
if you're healthy and you look however you look that makes you feel good about yourself and you're happy, walking in your own shoes, that's the best outcome that anybody could hope for you. So, I feel like health and confidence at the end of the day is just the most important thing because if you're confident, you're happy, you can take care of everybody else in your life just a little bit better because you're not constantly weighed down by the weight of not being happy in your own
Hmm.
body.
Absolutely. One thing I do try to reinforce is the worth part is like your worth is not what you look like. And I ask my kids questions. I kind of throw it back to them and say, did daddy love me when I looked different? Yeah. Does daddy love me now?
Mhm.
Yeah. Or let's see. Oh, I'll say, oh, just because a bigger person, or does that make them mean? No. Is that skinny person, or can they be mean? Yeah. Can that person be mean? Yeah. I'm like, everybody can be who they are, and it doesn't matter what they look like. They're still going to have their own personality. Does that person being more thin, are they going to be nicer to you because they're thin? No. Okay. Same goes for the bigger person. Are they going to be nicer to you because they're bigger? No. So I try to like lead with questions back to them too. So
I
it's a
think
process.
that's a really solid approach. That is honestly a genius way to handle that conversation because it makes them think about it and it kind of
Mhm.
erases things that they might be exposed to when they're a little bit older when it comes to other people making assumptions based on appearance.
Yeah.
If they have a friend or, a buddy that says something based on solely an exterior experience, they'll actually think a little bit deeper about it before they make that assumption about that person. And ultimately, if enough people start approaching it this way, hopefully we can kind of start to die down those societal
I
standards.
hope so. My kids are in middle school and fourth grade, and they are already experiencing the big FAT word a lot and really starting to analyze that more and that
Mhm.
experience. I mean, the classic. It's the classic experience that I think most people who ever been overweight before have experienced, and it still is happening today in schools, and I hate that. I really do.
Yeah, I know. And I think it's something that might just always be there, which is why it's important to just have these conversations so that everyone knows that they're not alone in facing it and
Yeah.
that there is more people who understand what it's really like. And honestly, I feel like everybody, no matter who you are at one point in your life, you're going to be faced with something similar on whichever spectrum it is, and you'll learn to understand, like, you
Especially if
know.
you're on the internet in any capacity. That's when people's interesting, like their real personalities can come out that way because they're
Yeah,
hiding behind a screen and can be very, very mean. And
a screen with no profile photo and no.
yes, yes. Honestly, I mean, it really helped me build a thick skin, I think. I mean, as a millennial, I've been on the internet since I was 13, so
Yeah.
it that doesn't bother me, but I want to give my kids that same resilience. That's at the end of the day, I want them to be resilient against the negativity if they ever receive whatever size they're at or go through or end up being is that they're
Yeah.
resilient. And I hope I can show them that through my story.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure you have because your story is amazing and you are so open and you talk about it. And I mean, conversation is needed because when conversation
Mhm.
stops, that's when things get dismantled and things fall apart. With like the online stuff and kind of the resilience and building a thick skin when random people that you don't know just decide to have an opinion on your journey that's negative. I feel like that resilience also comes from you putting in the work because it's not like the medication is a magic spell that just solves everything for you. Like
Right.
you take the medication and you build those right habits and it just aids you in the goal that you're searching for.
Mhm.
And that resilience actually comes from you building confidence, which
Yeah.
is the best possible outcome.
I love that you speak about the confidence because there was a point when I realized that again, this is more than about being thin because I did something that I never ever thought I could
Hmm.
do. And now it makes me feel like, well, what else can I do?
Yeah.
I did this thing that I never thought was possible. And now I'm just like
Yeah.
Why can't I do this thing? Why can't
It
I
makes
make
me like
content? Yeah.
teary-eyed. I'm like literally like teary-eyed because it's true. Like
Uh,
I feel like confidence is a word that some people kind of like they'll dismantle it and not like they kind of take away the power from it, but it's truly such a powerful word because it's such a powerful thing.
hmm
Like it really can shift your entire life and it can shift the way that you act, the way that you treat people, the way that you react to things, the
Yep.
way that other people see or view you, how, like it really affects everything.
Yes, I think that is so important to really talk about that inner work. And I was doing my whole journey like to get to my almost goal weight, but I did all of that alone. I didn't have a community. I didn't have anyone that I knew that was on the same path that I was. And I was kind of just raw dogging it, like just guessing about if things were normal or am I allowed to feel happy about this? Am I
Mhm.
allowed to feel successful? Like, is it okay that I feel proud that I did this? Because posting on Facebook felt wrong because I remember being big and seeing friends lose and I would get very triggered and like upset, like I have to hide them from my feed because I'm never going to be able to do that. And it makes me feel like crap because they did it and
Mhm.
I didn't. And I hated not feeling happy for them.
Yeah.
It made me feel ugly inside because I couldn't be happy for someone making a change for themselves because I couldn't make that change. So when I get mean comments, it doesn't bother me because I feel like I understand a little bit. Like I
Yeah.
never attacked anybody online. I just had that feeling of envy
Yeah.
of like, I want that and I can't have it. And also, when people make the mean comments or assumptions or whatever it is, it gives me an opportunity to address it and to talk about it. And it's like, okay, so this is what people think about it, like let's talk
Mhm.
about that. I want to give my perspective of it. And I don't hate the hate comments. I really don't. Like
Yeah.
I have that thick skin now
Yeah.
to face it with, I guess it's my teacher brain, like I teach high school. I get complaints and negativity on a
Yeah.
daily basis and I'm like, oh, what a great opportunity to teach you something.
Mhm.
So that's how I approach that.
Yeah, and I mean, since you've done it yourself now, and now being a part of a community like Elara, just a community full of people that have embarked on this journey, you now have that power and autonomy to just like help other people who were in your shoes that are looking for that support that you didn't have, and now you can be that person
Yes.
for them.
It's been very healing to share my story and to talk to people and to bring people together with a common goal of getting healthier and getting more confident and believing in yourself, like,
Hmm.
and not giving up on yourself and knowing that you're worth it and it's okay to have the struggles and it's valid to feel this. And I have always struggled with validating myself and I wish I would have found a community from the start because I feel like I would have not struggled mentally as much if I had people in my corner cheering me on, people who got what I was going through. And so I'm just impressed with as I'm impressed with the community that's out there. You find your little pockets. Because I tried Reddit, I tried Facebook groups, and it hits different when you are seeing people on videos and then you can start talking to them and forming these bonds with people. You can really find good, solid friendships and
Hmm.
support out there. It's not on Reddit. Don't go there. I like I went back to lurking on Reddit. Like that's okay for like reading about stuff, but to really engage with people and to bounce ideas off and just be able to share the ups and
Associated with
downs.
people that just actually get it because they're literally walking the same exact walk in multiple aspects.
And I think once people start really interacting with the community, there's less instances of feeling like you're doing something wrong because you quickly see that everybody's journey is different. Like we're all on the same path
Mm-hmm.
with the same goals, but how we get to that goal is a little bit different for everybody. And it's so easy to compare yourself to people that you see and want the same thing. But I think people need to understand like there's inspiration, and that's what I hope to be for people is inspiration because I never thought I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want people to know that it is possible because I was one of those people too, versus comparison, because that can be a real big thief for your journey and your progress, and it can slow you down. Um,
Yeah, because
People
change
need
doesn't happen overnight. So,
exactly, and I feel like I've done a good job about not comparing anymore because yes, I am thin now. I did the thing, but I'm 34 years old. I've had 3 kids. My body is not model perfect at all. I got loose skin, I got stretch marks, and I have learned to be okay with that.
Hmm.
And I think people should remember that literally every body is different, and how you carry your weight or what your body has experienced and been through surgeries. If you're disabled, everybody is going to look
Yep.
different, and to love yourself throughout every single stage of
Yep.
that is so important because it's so easy to let the scale gaslight you into thinking that you're not changing, but by the mere fact of taking the step to start is showing that you're changing. You're taking a step. That's a change in of itself, even though you may not see results as quickly as you want or as quickly as Susie over here or Johnny over there. It's still your journey. I just want to encourage people to keep going because you just never know how it could end, and you're not going to know how it ends if you stop.
Yep, yep. You just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other and just watch the changes that happen. Because, like you said, if you stop, you're not going to see the change. But if you just keep taking it day by day or even hour by hour, you're going
Yep.
to see change. And that's what I love about this community is how transparent it is too. Because it's not a perfect walk. It's not a perfect journey. It's not like you're going to have the best experience every single day or not make mistakes or not feel bad about decisions that you might make while you're on it. And it's okay because those bad days or bad moments do not take away from all the progress that you've already had. And that's what I want people to remember too, because that's just life. It's never going to be a perfectly linear line. It's always going to go up, maybe a little bit down, but it's going to go back up as long as you
Yeah.
keep your head on straight. Just acknowledge I didn't like that. I won't do that again. Or oh, that sucked, but that doesn't mean that all my progress is gone. You still have permission to keep going even though you might have
Yes.
had a rough week. Yeah.
Time is going to pass either way. It's like that's kind of what kept me going on this journey is that time is going to pass either way. How am I going to spend that time? Am I going to look back in 6 months and say, wow, like I wonder where I would be if I would have started that, or I wonder where I would have been if I hadn't stopped doing that, because I have been in that position before where I've looked back and said, what if I had just kept doing that? Well, I wonder where I would have been. And the medication has shifted my mindset more than anything because it allowed me to make better choices. It allowed me to
Yeah.
get out of my head and like live life and just naturally live in a way that I think probably I can only assume that thin people who've never been big before live,
Yeah.
where because not every thin person is a health nut. Not every thin
Mhm.
person is counting their calories and going to the gym all the time. Like, and again, that doesn't mean that
A
they're
lot has to do
healthy.
with genetics. Yeah, it's just
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And that doesn't mean just because they're thin doesn't mean that they're healthy. And just because
Yeah.
I'm thin doesn't mean I'm the picture of health either, because I'm very transparent. Like I still have a lot to learn about nutrition. I still have a lot
Hmm.
to learn about movement and healthy moving my body that doesn't feel like a punishment. There's still so many parts to it, but I do think that the medication really shifted my mindset to be able to make those changes easier. I
Yeah, I
still
mean, speaking about like the medication and when you finally started actually taking it, what were you feeling when you took your first dose? Were you feeling hopeful? Were you feeling scared that it wasn't going to be what you wanted it to be? All the above?
I was in shock that I was able to get the medication, first of all. I was giving my friend a play by play. So remember, I was able to get it covered through my insurance because I was pre diabetic. And I was getting updates, text messages from the pharmacy saying, your prescription's been sent to the pharmacy. I take a screenshot, send it to my friend, like, is this happening? Oh my God, is this happening? And then I went to, it's like, it's ready for pickup. And I'm like, I'm not going to believe that this is real until I have it in my hands, because what if I get up there and they're like, oh, it's $1,200? So I got it.
Mhm.
It didn't cost that much. And I would have taken it in the parking lot if my husband wasn't a nurse. I don't
I
think
love that.
I think he would have frowned upon that being in the medical field. So I waited until I got home, and I was excited. I was excited to see what it would do, but I was also very cautiously optimistic. I remember writing down my goals, and my goals were very modest. I feel like they're modest now, seeing where I'm at, because I smashed that goal. My dream, it was like my dream fantasy. You're never gonna get there. Like let's just write it down. Like, we'll see if it happens, but like, you're probably not going to be able to do that. Was like 150, 150. I was like, 150, I'm 5'5". That seems like a good even number. I haven't seen that number since high school. Like, but okay, let's write it down.
Yeah.
My size jeans, I'll do it. I think size 12 kind of equals 150. I don't really know. Like, I'm in a size 20 now. Like, size 12, that would be freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Be so cool, but it's probably not going to happen. So I had this like cautious optimism. Like, I was still negative, like, you're not going to be able to do it because I didn't want to be disappointed. That's like a big coping mechanism that I do is I will lower what I know I'm capable of just so if I don't reach it, I'm not disappointing myself. And like we spoke about, I'm trying to get out of that mindset of like it's okay to set big goals for yourself because you can do hard things. Lowest weight has ended up being 117 and a size 0. And to think that I thought I was only capable of doing 150, which is still technically overweight in the BMI scale, which we know is bullshit. I just want to say, but just to give some type of measure, like a scale of some sort about that, on like when do you know when your goal is like I didn't really have like after that I didn't really have anything in mind. I was just like, okay, we'll see. After 117, I was like, okay, we're officially in maintenance. We're not trying to be any lower than this.
Mhm.
My doctor told me you're good. Stop doing that. Not stop doing the job, but like stop losing.
Yeah.
And so that's when I got into figuring out what maintenance looks like, and that's how I found Elara because they offer much more personalized versions of the GLP, and I love it. Oh my gosh, it's been so great.
Yeah, I mean that just along with kind of those, which this is perfect because it kind of leads into my next question, but just those tips on lifestyle because I mean, you were so accustomed to, your life when you were less healthy and
Hmm.
now you're at beyond the goal that you wanted. So it's like, okay, now how do I handle this version of myself properly?
How
What's healthy
right.
look like for me now? Because it probably looks way different than it did. And that would lead into my next question that is what changed first for you? Not necessarily after you hit your goal, but just while you started this journey. Do you think it was your mindset? Do you think it was the changes in your body as far as like how you were feeling or your mental, like the food noise, or was it your habits? Did having the shot help aid you in this journey, kind of encourage you to change any negative habits that you had? I just want to dive into that.
Yeah, I think the first thing to change, what I noticed was the food noise. And I know people talk about that a lot. And I had honestly never heard of that until I got into the online community about what food noise, what is that? What do you mean? And I started thinking about like, well, I think that's what's changed with me because I'm not thinking about food in a way when I'm not hungry. Like I go into the break room to grab a donut from the staff room, and by the time I walk back to my room and put my stuff down, I forgot it existed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Taylor Swift says, I forgot that you existed. Until I'm like, oh yeah, there's that donut because I had wrapped it up, I put it to the side, and like
Yeah.
I got all of my day. But I would not have done that prior to a GLP. Like I would have
That's
been like,
so
yeah, like
that
I would have been,
that's
and
so funny.
not that the donut was bad to eat to begin with. Like I still allow myself
Mhm.
any of that stuff that I want. I just didn't have this like desire. Like it's such a strange feeling to
Well, it
just
wasn't like
not
it once you grabbed it, you kind of you forgot that you had it. You still want to eat it. You just forgot that you had it. It wasn't like say that you got busy with work in between the time that you got your donut and you got to eat it and the whole time you're working, you're not just thinking about eating your donut when you're
exactly.
you just
Yeah.
stop working and then you're like, "Oh yeah, my
Oh
donut.
yeah.
Cool.
Right. Oh yeah, I forgot about
Donut."
that. I get to have that. And that's and I don't restrict myself. And everybody's path is different on how they choose to walk this path, whether they want to pair that with calorie restriction, pair that with routine exercise, pairing that with cutting out sugars, whatever that is.
Mhm.
Everybody's looks different. And I think we as a community need to decide that it's okay that people do things differently.
Yes, for
And
sure.
I do not restrict myself. I don't count anything. And there's a reason behind that. And it's because of the trauma I've had with myself and food with doing those things and how
Mhm.
I decided to go on this path and to do something that is going to be sustainable long term. I'm not going to count calories for the rest of my life. I know I'm
Yeah.
not going to. I'm not going to tell myself, no, you can't have that. And the reason why that has worked for me, because obviously I've been in a calorie deficit. Like that's the math, that's the science. You cannot like get away from that.
Hmm.
But I wasn't doing it in a way that was like logging and like then like chastising myself and like
Yeah.
stressing out about it.
You're just being mindful.
It just happened because the food noise was gone. That is what changed my relationship with food, was not like forcing myself to see it in this way and that way. It was just like, I'm hungry. I know that's going to make my stomach hurt if I eat that.
Hmm.
So I'm going to eat this instead, or I can have a couple bites of this and and I'm good. Like there was just not a
Yeah.
lot of overconsumption. Like I was satisfied.
And that also plays into the whole mental role that it can take too, because I think it's just
Hmm.
as much of a mental battle as it is a physical one with drinks
100%.
like this. And like the mental side is something that people struggle with. I know that even maybe haven't had to deal with the like the weight loss journey aspect of it, because like that's a big like the calorie counting or the scales or like the obsessing over what you are consuming is just as unhealthy as not caring at all what you're
Yes.
ingesting.
Yes.
So I love that you touch on that.
I think people tend to forget those people like us who can't handle that mentally, because I just know it puts me in a bad place
Hmm.
mentally. I don't want to think about having to go to a family gathering where there's going to be food and me being like, oh, I can't go because I can't count anything. Like I used to do that. I used to not go places because I knew I was not going to be able to count anything because it was all like a carry in and like it was just
Yeah.
easier not to go. And like I wasn't living my life like, yeah, I was losing some at that point, and, but it wasn't worth what I was sacrificing.
Yeah.
And the GLP has just made me it freed me from all of that. And again, I really want to reinforce that that's for me. Like calorie counting did not is not for me and how it impacts my mental health.
Yeah.
And I think that there is importance to that for people who can
I
handle
think
it.
for some people it works. Like
Yeah.
for some people it totally works that maybe just grew up with less knowledge over like what calories actually are and how they contribute to our bodies and how different
Hmm.
types of calories contribute, like proteins or sugars or fats or carbs, like these are all good things for our bodies. And with less knowledge of kind of how they help and how they aid, maybe, yeah, like you said, for everyone, like maybe a calorie tracking would actually be super beneficial and would be more freeing for them versus not counting them.
Right.
It
And
really does look different.
I also want to be honest and say, I consistently lost. I cannot say that if I had a different result, if I was more up, down, up, down, up, down more consistently, I probably would have turned to calorie counting to see if it was something I was doing, to be honest with myself. Like, because
Mhm.
I think that's one thing that can really frustrate some people is that they think that they are in a deficit, but they're really not. And once they
Mhm.
really be honest with like what they're consuming, because I was always like a snacker that would be like just a handful here, just a handful there,
Yeah.
just a this. And it's like, it doesn't seem like that much. So I don't really need to log it. But like, honestly, those little things can add up. And like, so
Yeah,
there are benefits to that, to the calorie counting for those that feel that they need it to really analyze and dig deeper into if they're not losing.
for sure.
And I probably would have gone that route if I hadn't seen the results that I did.
Hmm.
So I don't want to I don't promote anything
Yeah,
of like
yeah, no,
of
for
diet
sure.
wise. Like I am not a nutrition. I just know my story and like what worked for me and why I did it the way I did it.
Yeah, and that's why like I'm so excited to start this Alara Diary series because I'm going to be talking to so many of you guys that
Hmm.
have gone through this and everyone's journey is different and that's why it's so important to have these different perspectives because maybe somebody else say that we had a couple podcasts and they heard someone else's story first where calorie
Hmm.
counting kind of was their like saving grace, like it really just helps them get on track and do what they needed to do.
Be
But
accountable.
for somebody else, it's like that's traumatizing to them
Hmm.
mentally and like they can't do that, but they were trying to. So hearing your story on like the other side of the spectrum would be maybe what really helps them because
I just
truly everyone is different.
and I want people to really understand that. Like that's so important to understand that everybody is different and
Mhm.
there's no plan or blueprint that is going to say do this exactly.
Yep.
Despite what you see online, like your journey, you have to figure out what's going to work for you.
For sure.
Try
Yeah.
some different things. You have a tool now. If you've started one, you have this tool to kind of have your back while you explore that a little bit, and it's
Hmm.
okay. And it doesn't have to be super fast. It can be, it's
It's
continuous
so
learning.
important to, yeah, just experimenting, like you said, and finding what works for you because it really is different for everybody. Like,
You,
for everyone, and you just have to find out what that thing is. And that's just in general, like that's not even with, your weight or
mhm,
your health necessarily. Some people, stupid example, but like, I don't know, gluten. Some people can eat gluten and it sits well in their tummy and it doesn't hurt their stomach. Some people
mhm.
eat gluten and they get puffy and they just don't feel good. And it's finding that common denominator for
Yep.
you of what makes you feel good versus what makes you feel bad. I can sit and eat cheese and get my protein in from cheese. Cheese is good for you. Like it's a protein.
Yeah.
I'll eat cheese. I feel great. My best friend will have cheese for a snack, for a high protein snack, and she feels horrible. And
Yeah.
cheese is a healthy thing, but it just, for some people, it doesn't work. So, like, two things can be true at once, right? Which is just,
Right. And I think the goal ultimately is for this to be sustainable. Not
hmm
everybody is going to be on this forever. And
hmm
that's okay. Some people do want to be on it forever, and that's okay too. Whatever that path looks like, ultimately you still want to be sustainable with your success and learning how to make those changes that you can stick with, like if counting calories is your safe space, or if going to the
hmm
gym you ended up really loving that and that feels good for your mental health. Those are the things you're looking at, because if anyone is like where I started at, which was very overweight, I was in the morbidly obese category of that damn BMI chart. And I think that's why I have such like a thing with it. My whole journey is like, I hate you, but I'm gonna look at you, I guess, and see where I'm at.
Yeah.
But for anyone who was on that high end, like it can be daunting, and just take the time, because you have the time. It's gonna pass anyway. You're already doing a thing that is gonna help you. So figure out what is gonna work for you that is gonna be
Long
sustainable for
term.
the long term. Yeah.
For sure. That's so important to remember. And that's
Hmm.
exactly why we try here, like in our community with Elara, is just focusing on not only making sure that medication is accessible to as many people as we can get it to that need it, but also just those lifestyle habits. Like, where's that common denominator where
Yeah.
else you're struggling? And that's not even in like the nutrition category or the fitness category necessarily, but even your mental health. The different things that people face can come from different reasons. And if we can
Yeah.
help you determine that denominator that you have and eliminate that core problem, or at least help start the process to healing it, it's gonna make that long-term change that much easier. And that's our goal. And with that too, was there anything that happened for you on your journey that you weren't expecting to happen?
I talked about this before during like my lies and stuff, but one of the funniest realizations I guess I had that I was surprised at is, one is that my ears are not small. And I say this because my husband and I would always make jokes about my tiny ears. Like, your ears are so tiny. Like, you have little tiny ears. And it was just this cute little, like, yeah,
Yeah,
my ears are small. Girl, no, my head was just big. Like, my ears are normal size
that is
now.
so funny. Yeah,
Um,
it's like those not that this is necessarily a victory, but
right.
like those non-scale realizations that you end up having that's like, whoa, like I didn't even realize that this was something prior
Yeah.
to now.
Yeah. The other one is I was surprised that my buffalo hump was not Hashimoto's. I was trying to blame the back fat in between your shoulder blades on something else, because of course it can't be my weight because I'm not that big. Like, I was really trying to convince myself that
Mhm.
I wasn't as bad off as I was. But when fat started accumulating in very uncommon areas, I guess, I try to write it off. So one day I woke up and I was like, I realized I was just so surprised. Like, I just didn't even check on my buffalo hump this whole time, and now it's
Mhm.
gone. And in place of that are bones. And I
Yeah.
was like, and I had heard other people have this like panic moment of like, what is that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's literally just your bone.
Hmm.
So that was surprising as well. And wiping is easier. I was surprised about that too. Yeah. Yep. Being so for real, like wiping is just not an Olympic sport anymore.
Just
But
everything
that,
just feels a little bit
yeah,
easier. Yeah.
I don't sweat as much anymore. With my MS, I'm very sensitive to heat, and cold in particular, but
Mm-hmm.
especially to the heat. So I would avoid going outside. I play volleyball and I would just be nasty and gross. Or if I'm just like stressed out, I would sweat. I don't really sweat that much anymore. And that was really surprising for me too during this, was not sweating as much. And then the side effects aren't bad like people tell. Like the fear, all the scary stories, like that stuff isn't, it's tolerable. A lot of the bad stuff that you hear about is, I feel like sometimes is, for me at least, it's self-induced. Like I put
Mm-hmm.
myself in a situation to where like I know I probably shouldn't be eating that, and I overindulge sometimes, and like I
Yeah,
do it to
or maybe
myself.
like dehydration, not
Yeah,
drinking enough water. I'm sure
yep.
makes a big difference too.
So I
Yeah.
feel like for me, I was surprised at how manageable the side effects were because you hear the horror
Mhm.
stories from people. And
I
I,
feel like when we're indecisive about something too, like taking a step, it's just kind of human to
Mhm.
hone in on those bad things that you hear or like couple negative stories that are probably like 1% of the actual experience
Well,
people have.
I I think this is an important piece to talk about because I think it is something that keeps people from starting. And I relate a lot of my story to my multiple sclerosis experience because, I view obesity as a disease, and multiple sclerosis is also a disease. But when I had to choose a medication to take, the medication that I've been on now for 9 years, there's risks to that. It's very serious risks, much more risky than any of the GLPs have.
Hmm.
And there are markers for that. You are under medical guidance for this medication. Me and my husband, we discussed those risks and the benefits. What's the risk and the benefits? What are we going to do if this
Hmm.
works? And like, when will we stop if this happens? So like, we had to make a decision. And I love my MS medication, and it's part of saving my life because I'm not disabled. Who knows where I would be if I don't have that medication? And I'm not
Yeah.
disabled right now, and I'm going to continue taking it because I don't want to be disabled. Just
Yeah.
like the reason why I always tell people, like, I'll be on this medication forever. And that's a
Hmm.
personal choice. I don't think people have to be on it forever. But for me, I view it as something that I need to continue to be healthy, just like I do with my
Yeah.
MS medication.
Yeah.
But there's that risk benefit factor. And I think that's why it's important to be under medical guidance
Hmm.
during this process, this journey, because you're injecting something into your body. And my MS medication, I am also injecting. I have an infusion that I take every month,
Hmm.
and it has to be medically, guided and all
Appropriate.
of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But there's serious risks to it, and I know people think there are serious risks, and there are risks in any medication that you take. But what are the benefits from it?
Yeah.
And that's
And also looking at the risks of, I mean, A, we know this medication has been used for like diabetes, right? Like it's been the prime medication for that. So it is a very
well
researched
known.
knowledge
Yes.
and it very well known. I don't know where the stigma came from that it's like this new like superpower thing that's like not very well tested because it's been around.
It has.
Luckily, we just found that it has more than one use.
Like Viagra, do you know that story?
I don't, but I'm sure it's there.
It's the same thing. It was
Yeah.
made for something else, and it's used for something else now.
Yeah, yeah. And then like what we were just about to touch on is like the side effects from obesity too. Like those are really serious potential side effects that can happen if you don't take control of your health that
Yep.
when you're weighing those risks and benefits, it's like, would I rather be maybe a little bit nauseous, but could probably get over that with drinking a lot of water, or the risk of a heart attack at a younger age because of like the buildup, just whatever it
Yes.
is.
Especially women. This is why I love Elara. One of the reasons why is because of their donations to women's health research and their
Yeah.
dedication to women's health. My father is a very healthy man, went to the gym all the time, and had a heart attack when he was 49 and ended up
Mhm.
having to have quadruple bypass surgery. He's fine now, but his father also had to have heart surgery as well. So
Wow.
clearly, this is and neither of those family members, my grandfather or my dad, were obese. Like
Mm-hmm.
in any way. It was just that was a very very genetic risk. And then I see myself like, okay, I am obese and I'm a woman and I have heart risk in my like disease in my family. Like that's really scary. And my
Yeah.
husband was very worried about me during, he was never demeaning to me in any way. Like I said, he's a nurse, but like now that we're out of it, he's like, I'm so glad that you did this because you're going to be around much longer for our kids, for our family. Like you're going to be
Mhm.
here as a grandma. Like it was very dangerous for me to be where I
Yeah.
was at because of my genetics. Absolutely.
And I think that plays into too for people that if you're someone watching this and you're like deciding whether or not you want to start or you're really just like fighting with yourself, you just need to find your why. And if your why for your own benefit is not strong enough for you, think about like you mentioned, like either, other people in your life that want to see you be around longer or be healthier or be able to do things with them like kiddos, being active when they're in sports or participating or just doing all those things. You yourself are enough and you should know that and believe that and fully fight for that. But if you are telling yourself that you're not, find your why somewhere else because I know that you know that why is there. You just have to find which why is worth fighting for it for you.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
So, what's something that you think a lot of people that are not familiar with the medication, like a common misunderstanding about GLP-1s?
Which one? Man, I just need to go to my comment section real quick. Let me pick one because there's the cheating accusations, like you're cheating. I really like to talk about that. I like to talk about,
I feel like we can even like we can throw that one in the trash so fast because I mean,
mhm.
me, for example, I struggle falling asleep at night so bad. I think I have insomnia. Is it cheating for me to take melatonin to go to bed?
Exactly. Yep, you're already off. And who and what measure are we competing for or trying to
Mhm.
prove? Because to cheat is implying that we're in a competition or we are trying to meet some metric of
Yeah.
data, like when you take tests
Mhm.
and things like that and you cheat, whatever.
Yep.
There's, I'm not in a competition with anyone.
Yeah.
My
I mean, and
data
people
is mine
don't claim
alone.
that, like, for, like bodybuilders or stuff like that, like those peptides or steroids that you can take to enhance your performance, you're
Hmm.
still putting in the work to look like that. Like, if you're not
Hmm.
putting in the work and taking something, you're not going to look like, these people on stage. It's the same thing with weight loss. Like, it's not magic.
Yes.
You're still
Right.
putting in the work. You're just providing your body with the resources that it might be lacking or that it needs to help see the results of that.
It gave me the opportunity to really put in the work because I think that there was something else going on with my body too that made it more difficult to lose. Another common thing that people think about GLPs that is not accurate, that there's different kinds. I don't think people realize that there's different types of GLPs
Hmm.
and there's different data sets of effect on them. I don't think that there's a really clear understanding on what they do, how it works, why it works, why studies have shown one works more often and more with less side effects than the other one. Like, why is that? And I chose a tirzepatide because I looked it up. I looked up the study. I'm like, what's it say? I don't want to read a blog. I don't want to read um, an opinion piece, like what does the actual study say? And I know how to look at studies, so don't look at studies if you don't know how to read them. Like it's going to sound like nothing as foreign
Yeah,
language to you, but
that'd probably
that's,
be me. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like I didn't even know what Monjaro was. Like when I was looking up, I'm like, oh, okay, like the data and the set and the okay placebo. Oh, okay, cool. So I asked for that one, and that was and I've stayed on tirzepatide even with my compounded journey too.
Hmm.
So I think that people just don't understand how it all works, and that not every GLP is Ozempic.
Probably 99% of the conversations I have had about it is aware prior that this is something that is mimicking a natural hormone in our body,
Yeah,
something that
yeah,
our body already produces. So
hmm,
I think a lot of people don't realize that.
yeah. I think that that is a really big misconception. And the fact, like, back to the side effects that people make comments on my videos like, "Are you blind yet?" And I'm like, "Joke's on you! I'm already legally blind." So, but seriously, like people are just pulling headlines out
Yeah.
and using it as a scare tactic for what I
Yeah.
don't know. Medications are revolutionary. I don't think people realize how revolutionary these medications are,
Yeah.
because of the studies that are still doing about how it treats addiction, about how there's a study in mice with tirzepatide showing a 20% reduction in breast
A
cancer
tumor.
tumors.
Yeah. And
Yes,
it's helped women that were clinically diagnosed to be infertile get pregnant.
with PCOS. So I am looking forward to hearing any podcast that you do with our PCOS girls because I've heard wonderful stories about the positive impact that these medications can have. I also think that's another thing people don't realize is that this can help so many other things.
Hmm.
I addiction is a one thing that I know that they're studying right now with alcoholism. I was never a heavy drinker. I was more of a social drinker only because I wasn't confident enough to be sober around a group of people and socialize when I was bigger.
Hmm.
So I don't know if it's because I'm thinner now. I don't drink alcohol anymore because I don't need that shield, but I
Hmm.
don't crave it at all. I don't drink
Yeah.
alcohol at all, not because I'm like, I don't drink as
Yeah.
like a snooty way. It doesn't sound good. I'm like, no, I'm good. Plus, it's expensive in this economy. I'm not
Yeah.
buying a
And
$10 drink.
I've heard that a lot. I've heard that a lot
Yeah.
from different people. I mean, not that people like that were alcoholics or anything, but just like you like would socially drink or have, I don't know, wine with their dinner or something, and
Hmm.
it's just not really appetizing to them anymore. And
Right.
it's because the medication can heal parts of your brain that you didn't know needed healing, and you didn't
Yes.
may have been causing the reason that you do crave that glass of wine, similar to how you might be craving a piece of chocolate. Like, and not that that's a bad thing. Like, it's okay to want those things, but
Right.
just
There's
the
a
benefits
point.
that you don't realize that can come
Yes.
with it.
I think that's huge. Like that's why it's revolutionary because we're still finding out these things that this medication can help with. And it's just
Yeah.
more and more things are the Alzheimer's studies. If you don't know what I'm talking about, like look it up. Like it's really interesting studies that they're doing right now with Alzheimer's and tirzepatide. And I just can't wait to see what else is going to come out. And I really am cautiously optimistic. That's my theme of my life
Hmm.
that our whole health system will recognize that and help get people access to these things because
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to do that right now, and I hope
Yeah,
that that trend continues because
yeah.
it's so important, and like you said, it's literally changing lives. I
I don't like the American health system has so many barriers to these things.
Mhm.
I really honestly see the healthcare system going in this direction of telehealth and
I
paying out
agree.
of pocket,
Yeah.
not just with like weight loss things, but other medications too, because there's a lot less hurdles to it.
Hmm.
And I'm hoping that we can evolve in a way that it makes it easier for these telehealth companies to operate and not
Yeah.
have such like
It's
strict
also
guidelines.
really hard in standard healthcare to get diagnosed with something that you know you have a problem with.
Hmm.
Like, it's
Hmm.
really hard to get diagnosed, and sometimes you have to go to like eight different doctors before you can finally get the diagnosis that you were already like 95% sure that you had
Yeah.
because we know our bodies more than anybody else does. So I agree with you. Like, I could really see the future of healthcare shifting into this
Hmm.
telehealth world where you don't have to spend a fortune on your insurance just to maybe get something covered. Like,
Right.
you don't have to fight for access to things. It's just you have your healthcare at your fingertips with providers that
Yes.
they actually, their goal is to just help you get better, whatever that solution is, and it's there. And
And I think it's so possible that that would happen because my deductible, for example, for my like I'm on a family plan, that costs way more like to even get to where they will cover for me. I have to pay so much money and I could have just paid and I'm not going to make it. So I'll go ahead and pay out of pocket right now because it's, the money's
yeah,
going somewhere. I think that people need to really consider that too with when they're choosing to
which route to,
yeah, which route to go and getting things that are safe and effective and alternative ways that are becoming more and more acceptable, I think is important.
yeah,
But
making it normalized. We got to make it a normalized thing because it is normal and it's good and it's helping people.
I'll keep yapping about it.
Right? I guess to kind of wrap up our conversation here, I mean, there's so much we could even keep diving into,
Oh,
but
I know.
to kind of like bring it to a close, I want to know what advice you would give to somebody that is feeling stuck and afraid to finally embark on this journey.
Yeah, I know that there are people who are waffling back and forth on whether they want to do this, and it could be a, a variety of reasons why. And I think that the more you contemplate, it shows that you really want to do it almost. Like if you're thinking about it for a while, it's like, okay, so obviously this is heavy on your mind, and time is going to pass either way.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing that always kept me going is that am I going to look back 3 months from now and be like, wow, I wonder if I would have just started 3 months ago where I would be now? Or am I going to look back in 3 months and say, wow, I'm so glad I started that because look where I'm at now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think GLPs are for most people. And I think when you are working with alongside a provider that can guide you on that, you're going to find out pretty easily and safely if it's right for you or not. So weigh the risks and benefits because I think the benefits for my story have outweighed any of the risks for sure. And
Yeah.
I have lowered so many of my risks. So yeah, I mean, time is going to pass either way. What are you going to do with that time? Where are you going to be at in 3 months?
I
Are
think
you
that's
going to,
such an
yeah,
important sentiment. Like, I've heard that before, but I feel like, we can hear things and then just kind of like it goes over our head. But truly, make it your lock screen or write it down on your bulletin board in the kitchen or the whiteboard on the fridge, like whatever it is, and just have it there because it's so true. Time is going to pass either way.
yeah,
If you think into the future 3 months, how would you rather have spent that time?
yeah. And I think also piggyback off that is that you don't have to have everything figured out to get started. Like you don't have to have a big diet nutrition plan, a big gym routine
Yeah.
planned out and like because I feel like people put themselves in a box and they feel like if they're not ready to do all of that, then they're
Yeah.
not ready to get started. But
Yeah.
you can find that during your journey. Like you can find that routine that really plays into what we were saying earlier about figuring out what works for you. And I think if people just give themselves some grace and say, you know what, I know I need to drink more water, so I'm going to make it a routine for me to drink X amount of water
Mhm.
for 3 weeks straight. And then I'm going to add something else on top of
Yeah,
that because
it's
that,
habit building for sure. I
yes,
mean,
yeah,
I am constantly, I mean, still in my life, like again, like because this is a never-ending thing, right? It's
right.
something that you're probably going to be doing forever. One thing that I've always heard in my family growing up, is because it's something that I always do and I always have to be reminded of it. It's like the paralyzation from overanalyzation. So
Sounds
like
like me.
yeah, it's like having, like you were saying, like wanting everything to be perfect before you start. I feel like that's a normal thing to seek as because we're
Hmm.
human. But the odds that you actually start when you approach things that way are very, very small. So I think our motto here at Elara is fail forward because if you're failing, you're learning. So if you're
Yeah.
failing forward, that means you're constantly in motion and something's changing, like you're
Yeah.
learning and things are moving forward. So,
I love, I just love Alara's realness and like representing real women and not having this idea of perfection and knowing that we are all human and we're all growing. And I love that you shared that, you're working on yourself too. And I wanted to let you know that I'm going to start working out and I'm going to start with your videos. I'm going to start using those because you're a real person and
mhm.
I respect you so much for being part of this community as well and being supportive. And I want to document me trying to build my booty back because, that's something that went away and I
Yeah.
would like to see if I
Hey,
can
and
build it
that's the
back.
thing, like, I got you because that's so exciting for me too. Because I mean, I haven't been on maybe the more drastic side of things, but like, I have been a little bit heavier and I have been way too skinny. Like,
Hmm.
I've struggled with binge eating and I've also struggled with not eating because my anxiety was so bad that food just wasn't appetizing.
Hmm.
So I've kind of been on both ends of things. And the way that, I look now, like I found a love for the gym. It used to be similar to you. It used to be more of a punishment, like having
Hmm.
to a certain way, and now I do it because I enjoy it and I enjoy teaching other people how, because I was always an athlete but I knew nothing about the gym. I knew nothing
Hmm.
about any of that. And through my knowledge, I love helping other people learn, but the little booty that I might have now was not always there. So I'm like very confident in helping other people, figure out their bodies and
Yeah.
how to grow it, at least what worked for me, but just
Yeah.
teaching them kind of those core methods that they can use is so fun for me. So,
Yeah, and yeah, I'm gonna be on that part of my journey soon because again, it's never over. There
yep.
are things that I would like to build strength and be stronger. And
Hmm.
I know the videos. I don't if anyone didn't know this, but she is the featured person in the app that we have coming out soon with all the workouts and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, like, I want to do that too. So you're also inspiring people and you are supporting us too. We love you.
Thank you. That makes me feel so good.
Good.
Well, we could keep talking for hours and hours, so I am going to let Shelby get on with her evening. I want to thank you so much for being here and sharing your story with everyone and being vulnerable. Very first Elara Diaries podcast ever, so very memorable, fun experience. These are the kinds of conversations that remind us that this journey isn't just about weight, it's about support, it's about healing, and it's about deciding that you are worth it and investing into yourself and your health for the long term. If you're listening to this podcast and you are on the fence, I just want you to know that there is no shame in seeking support and there is no timeline for your transformation. It's going to look different for everybody that walks this path. We're all doing the best that we can with what we know, and Elara is here to walk beside you. Until next time, protect your peace and believe in your power.